to my Supercard. Can you guess who this is? If you guessed strawberry shortcake, congratulations! You're what's wrong with the world today. I mean, look at this. This isn't strawberry shortcake.
This is the sorceress. I mean, strawberry shortcake.
I wasn't even the biggest fan of this show, to be honest. It was more of a girls' show, but I had a grade school girlfriend who gave me a figure of the Purple Pie Man. And speaking of the Purple Pie Man, I mean, let's take a look at these. I just showed you what strawberry shortcake is supposed to look like. Look what she looked like in these remakes.
As you can see, they obviously changed strawberry shortcake's look. And then they did it again, so I guess they failed, and... What the fuck? Look at this shit! That's supposed to be the Purple Pie Man? Hell fucking no! Looks like a little kid dressed in the Purple Pie Man's costume. It's She-Ra versus Supergirl all over again. Holy shit! That's 2 references I've already made to my He-Man video, and we're only in the first match. I'll bet I could make another one. Yeah. Hey, real Purple Pie Man, what do you think of your remake?
I don't even know why they bothered. I mean, if you're gonna make something that looks kinda like strawberry shortcake but completely deviate, I mean, take the new cartoon High School USA for example. They're clearly copying the likes of Archie, Betty and Veronica, and the rest of the cast, but they're not insulting your intelligence. I mean, this cartoon is... Why call it strawberry shortcake? Do what High School USA did. Take the likeness, change it up a bit, and then do your own cartoon. If you call it strawberry shortcake, and you failed the first time, so you had to make her look even different than before, and just... What the fuck? Why? Why was this... You know what? You better tag the fuck out, new strawberry shortcake. You're getting your ass whipped. Uh-oh, 80s strawberry shortcake. You may be better than your remakes, but even you aren't better than any version of the Care Bears. You better tag out now. Watch out for that
Care Bears there. Hair power on. Rainbow sun, storm clouds, and lollipops. Hair power on.
Now we have a better matchup. I've seen bits and pieces of the new Care Bears. I prefer the old one, but the new one doesn't suck. Not horrible. However, I do have a problem with the way they look.
Here are the classic Care Bears we all know and love. And here are the new Care Bears. What the fuck? You see the size of their fucking heads?
Hauling that gargantuan cranium about.
What the fuck? Look at the stuffed Care Bears. And this one. Good freaking God almighty. What the fuck? It's like 3 times as big as their stomachs. How the hell are you going to do a good Care Bear stare with that?
In spite of the new Care Bears looking like ass with their big ass heads though, this one's still a pretty close battle at the moment.
We can use all the help we can get.
Well, in that case...
We're calling for the loyal hearts wherever they may be.
We're calling for the to come and follow me.
We're calling for the gentle hearts to keep us company.
And it would be a treat, Heart, if you would follow me.
Woo! See, that's why I made that one a tag team match, made for a more exciting duel. Now, how about this? This is the first time we've ever done this. We're going to put someone against themselves. It's Fergie versus Stacy Ferguson from the 1980s.
Doesn't seem to be anyone around.
We'll give it a shot.
Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer.
Take my hand and we'll make it, I swear.
Whoa, living on a prayer. Living on a prayer. In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Maybe I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
Now, this one's a hell of a fight. How do you really compare these two, the adult to her childhood self? I could say that 1980s Fergie would get the edge because she performed 80s classics.
Walk this way, show the way. Walk this way.
Oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet love of mine.
Don't you ever come around here? Don't wanna see your face, you better disappear. The fire's in their eyes and their words are really clear. So beat it, just beat it.
Then again, so did Fergie. So this one is really, really too close to call. I mean, how do you compare this? I suppose if we were to nitpick, which we kind of have to because this is such a close fight, unlike her future self, she never peed her pants on stage.
Ew!
Now that we're halfway through the advertised card, let me throw in this, a bonus match. I had been meaning to do this, but I forgot about it until I watched Netflix the other day and saw it on there. Here's the matchup, another first for us. That's right, folks. It's not a sequel, it's not a remake, anything like that, but we do have two movies, one from the 80s, one from last year, with the same name. So, how do you really go head-to-head on this one? Well, I'm going to make it simple. Let's see. 1987's Project X was more original, and it had a better plot. And it had monkeys.
Is there any chance you like monkeys? Yeah, what is wrong with you? Everybody likes monkeys.
Monkeys that probably had higher IQs than the teen characters in Project X of 2012. In 2012, Project X was advertised as the party you've been dreaming of, the party of your dreams, what the fuck ever. This movie, they've been making them for years, for decades even. Now, they've gotten to this certain modern day standard, but they've still made so fucking many of them. It's from the producers of The Hangover. Except this isn't as good as The Hangover. They also made 21 and Over and all these other fucking ones. And I mean, you got all these classic party animal movies and everything else from the 80s, 90s. I mean, what makes this one stand out? Who the fuck cares? Quick victory for 80s Project X. Now here's one I've been meaning to do for a while. A classic triple threat match from 3 different decades. You had Jefferson Airplane from the 1960s, who became Jefferson Starship in the 70s, and then became Starship in the 80s. Now, for those of you who aren't very familiar with wrestling, in a triple threat match, obviously there's a winner, and then technically there's not 2 losers. There's one person who gets pinned or submits, and then there's the one who's, you know, on the outside looking in. They're not involved in the decision. So if we had to pick a clear loser in this one, sorry if you're a fan, but I mean, what the fuck did Jefferson Airplane really do in the 70s? Excuse me, Jefferson Starship. And if they did anything, what did they do that was as notable as their work in the 60s and the 80s? So clearly Jefferson Starship would be the one getting pinned here. But who's gonna squeak by with the victory? Because Jefferson Airplane and their identity 2 decades later, Starship, they were kind of juggernauts for their respective times. How do you compare that? You've got Don't You Want Somebody to Love. That's one of the greatest songs of all time. Everyone should know that song. White Rabbit was also a classic. It was huge for its time. And then you got Starship's big hits from the 80s, which were We Built This City on Rock and Roll, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, and as you saw in my last video, Sarah. They were both big to their decades, but call me biased, call it controversial, but I would have to say, I'd have to give the edge to Starship, because they not only had a hat trick of #1 hits, all the success Jefferson Airplane had was in the 60s. With all due respect to that decade and its music. I do like a lot of 60s music. But 3 #1 hits, a hat trick for Starship, and they did it competing against the likes of Michael Jackson, Bon Jovi, and Madonna in the 80s. Madonna long before she sucked as a performer and a human being. That's a much bigger mountain to climb, so I would have to say Starship steals the win from Jefferson Airplane in this one.
Here we go, here we go. Yeah!
Close though, close. Now for the main event, one of the ultimate remakes of our time. 1984's The Karate Kid versus 2010's, I want to say, The Karate Kid. Sorry, but this one's kind of like the 30-second knockout that I showed you in my last video. Because let's face it. Oh, what the fuck, where to begin? It's so simple, yet it's so difficult. First of all, let's compare each of the 2 main characters. The Karate Kids. The Karate Kid remake was actually Kung Fu, so it should be called the Kung Fu Kid, but it's called the Karate Kid because just like Strawberry Shortcake, they had to latch on to the name and try to keep the namesake to make itself popular when it really just opened itself up to further ridicule by a comparison. And let me put it to you this way. The worst part about the original Karate Kid was how whiny Daniel LaRusso was. Now, what the new Karate Kid did, they took the single worst part about the original Karate Kid. I mean, they said, hey, you know what? This Daniel LaRusso is exceptionally whiny. I'll bet that pissed the audience off to no fucking end. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our Karate Kung Fu Kid and make him even fucking whinier. Hey, instead of moving to a new city in the United States, let's move to China. So that way he can throw an even bigger fit because he's even more out of his element. Yes, that's what we need. A fucking whinier Karate Kid. Ugh, what the fuck? And then if you compare the senseis, Jackie Chan is awesome. Don't get me wrong. He's fucking awesome. But you know what, Jackie Chan? You're not Mr. Miyagi. Sorry. Mr. Miyagi is one of those roles that's just... I mean, if that's the only thing you have to show for your career, and with all due respect to the late, great Pat Morita, that's kind of what he has. At least have that one iconic role. I mean, think about it. Like Tom Cruise, for example. Tom Cruise is a fucking bajillionaire. He's done all sorts of movies. But where was that one big role? The closest you can probably think of him is Maverick. But you know what? I'll bet right now if you Google Maverick, Top Gun isn't even going to be the first thing that comes up. Sure, it was a big role and everything. That was more of an ensemble thing, though. And then some of his bigger movies, he kind of played second fiddle. Oh, he was in A Few Good Men. Yeah, but, you know, that was really more about Jack Nicholson. Sure, well, Tom Cruise said, I want the truth. Yeah, but Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth, which is what made that scene so memorable. And then you got Rain Man. He wasn't the Rain Man. He was second fiddle to the Rain Man. And then Jerry Maguire. The movie is called Jerry Maguire. Tom Cruise is the star. He's actually the character Jerry Maguire. But is that movie known for his performance? No. Hell, I'll bet half the people you'd talk to Jerry Maguire about if you take them down memory lane, unless it's their all-time fucking favorite movie. If you bring it up to them, most of them probably won't even know or remember that Renee Zellweger was in it. What's Jerry Maguire most known for? 2 lines. Did you know that the human head weighs 8 pounds? Not his line. And show me the money! Cuba Gooding Jr., not him. So, getting to my point, you got someone like Tom Cruise who's had all this success and won all these awards and everything else, and one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, George Clooney, probably be another good example. All the good shit they've done, you've even got Oscars thrown at them and everything else, but where is that iconic role? Tom Cruise could walk up to Pat Morita when he was still alive and say, hey, you know what? Look at what I got. Look at all this money, and then look what I did with my acting career. And Pat Morita would win the argument because he'd say, well, oh yeah? I was Mr. Miyagi, bitch. Go to Thomas F. Wilson, all you fucking big-time Hollywood celebrities, and go to him and say, oh, well, you know what? I did this, and I was in this, and blah, 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 blah. And he could say, oh yeah? Well, I was Biff motherfucking Tannen. Butthead. The Karate Kid is definitely not the same without Mr. Miyagi. The villains were also more memorable, and just the overall story, even though the new one kind of tried to copy it. What about the music? What song pops in your head when you think of the original Karate Kid? I'll bet it goes something like this. That is an incredibly classic song. Unbelievably classic. Did the new Karate Kid even give us a song that captured the spirit of the movie? Or will Jaden Smith just make one of his big hits the honorary theme song to the new Karate Kid?
Hello, yeah. Hey, hello, how you doing there? Hello, like hello, my name's Jaden and I'm a young fellow.
You remember the old cereal boxes? And there was a prize inside. Some of them, you'd turn them over and it would say, prize shown actual size. Well, if the original Karate Kid and the piece of shit remake got in an actual karate fight, I'd like to show you what it would be like. Match shown, actual length. So there you have it, a Supercard dominated by the 80s. However, one of today's victors doesn't have much time to rest, because I'm going to do something different yet again in my next video. I would break you right now if I didn't have such yummy cola Pez for you to dispense.